clients who I've helped out by power washing. Now I've painted their living room, and now they want me to redo their bathroom, and they're retail clients.
I always have this conversation with other contractors. You're like, I did a power washing job, and then I painted their house. I have conversations with other people, and they're like, why are you doing that job? One of my project managers, Adam, was here, and I had these guys cleaning gutters in my neighborhood. And he's like, why are you doing this? It's like $200 job. I'm like, because all of these jobs will lead to something else.
Correct.
It's the no job too small that gets me in the door that I can then say, we also do new construction. We also do additions. Like, and then those jobs led to the next job at their house. Like we've repaired my neighbor's gutters down here. They saw me do my siding. Now we're doing a $30,000 siding. Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalfas. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We're here with Julio Cervantes. How you doing, Julio?
Hey, good, Ryan. How are you?
Good. Nick Kalfas, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Julio, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Funny, quick little funny story. We just did a whole other podcast for 1 hour, and we forgot to press the audio recording. So none of us will get that hour back of our lives, so that's fun. But here we are. Julio, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Julio and I have been friends for a decade now, probably.
Just about, yeah.
And we started off like in the Towson DJing scene and hanging out that way, and then
Good old days.
we both kind of just navigated towards like that real estate space, the business space. So it's cool what we're going to talk about tonight because we've kind of known each other well before any of us even knew we were going to get into this kind of business.
Correct.
So I guess let's just like break it down. Why are you here right now? Like where did we start and where are we now?
Well, I mean, I think where we started, like you said briefly, dude, I mean, those were back in, I can't even remember a year,
2010, 2012, something
somewhere
like
around
that,
there, right? DJing, you doing your thing, man. I was doing my thing. You know, we would hang out every now and then. I mean, I think we never envisioned kind of seeing each other and crossing these roads again. But I think that's the beauty of this, is that we were able to, you know, meet up again and then now work together even hand in hand to kind of create something and turn it and flourish it into something even more beautiful.
So I guess as an outsider, I didn't know that about you guys. I didn't know you guys used to DJ together. Did you guys like stay in touch up until the point that you both got into construction and real estate?
Yeah, so we stayed in touch, just like social media in touch. Like, you know, we see each other at Baltimore, like we kind of, you know, ran in the similar like scenes or whatever. But it really, we reconnected, I think, when I bought my first couple rental properties.
Yeah.
We bought a couple properties, a couple in Dundalk, and it was actually on the same street as your dad's house. And I had some Spanish tenants, and as you know, I speak a little Spanish, but not good enough to like fully communicate with people about legal issues, leases, whatever else. So Julio came on and basically just was like helping me translate, helping me like bridge some gaps when we were dealing with a lot of our Spanish tenants and stuff. And then I was at the time starting a construction company. You had started a construction company, and you were doing residential stuff, but you had started with some commercial stuff, some restaurants and stuff like that. And we obviously leaned towards the investor-based kind of stuff. And then, just recently I guess like a year ago or so, we were using you as like a contractor to do some like property management stuff, and he was doing some just like a vendor. Like we would send
Like maintenance calls and stuff?
Yeah, whatever we couldn't get to with our internal crews. And then we I guess I don't even know how that conversation started, but we were just like, you know, I think one of the questions that we kind of asked each other, like, what's the hardest thing you're dealing with in business right now? Like what is your like pain points, right? And I think the one thing that we had was some people, like back end office type people that Julio didn't have on his team, and he had some really good high end like finisher people that were working in good vendors and good relationships with subcontractors. So we were like, well, why don't we merge kind of our resources together? And that's kind of what brought us here.
Yeah.
No. So break it down?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, we can get into the weeds a lot more, but in a nutshell, I think that captures it.
I think one of the things too that, you know, we wanted to kind of get out there is like the abundance mindset instead of like, hey, we're not in competition. There's so much work out there. Like, how can we put things together and do 2.5 times what we were doing before? Like, if we have two people, we put them together. Why can't we can do 3 or 4 times? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's basically what I think the main like kind of goal is when you team up with people. It's like, okay, if you have two people and you put their resources together, you should be able to act as 4 or 5 people. Like that's kind of what our mindset is.
Right. And I think to encompass that, I mean, to put a label on it, it's work smarter, not harder. Right.
Yeah.
And you surround yourself with the right people so you can do that. And you are able to take opportunities and transfer that over. And then now you're talking about, not only duplicating and creating businesses, but also scaling them up.
Yeah.
So Julio, when you first started back when you started your construction business, I guess you were working in the field, or were you like a GC the whole time managing other guys, or did you scale from like being in the field working to hiring guys and you were just GCing at that time?
So for me, the way I started, I started very young. I can remember when my mom's, partner at the time would ask me if I wanted to work. He would always see me, running around the house and doing different things. So, he invited me out to work, and I really enjoyed it. He was a painter. It was a commercial painter, so we would go into apartments, so it'd be larger volume. So I kind of learned early on how large operations should kind of run, specific to the painting field within construction. And then from there, I would do odds and ends. I would help, friends demo. I would help friends build decks, things like that. And I was always hands on, so that always helped.
So the idea of contracting and general contracting, I think that was one of the questions that we kind of brainstormed about talking about. It's like, what is a contractor? Is it somebody that's in there drilling holes in the wall and doing framing? And what's that like? Or is it somebody like what I do? Is get a contract with somebody and sell it to somebody else. Like what do you look at it, as?
I think I like to break it down into two. Essentially, obviously the general contracting is obviously is an individual that represents a company, an organization that is able to remodel or repair or restore whatever structure. And the general contractor is I think is the top piece, and then underneath of that is the contracting. Obviously, you lose the general, and I think when we lose the general, essentially you're hands on, right? You become very in the field, in the trenches. You know very specific details, not only where the tile goes, what the tile is, but how it needs to be installed, the types of materials and things as such. I mean, as a general contractor, you have these understandings, but you have that from a bird's eye view compared to the actual contractor that is writing this out or spending the time typing this out.
Yeah.
You know,
So you know what it should look like, you know what they look like putting it in, but
right?
you don't want me putting in your bathroom tile, that's
No,
for sure.
but you can definitely help them pick it out because you've
Yeah.
got a good taste. So
Yeah.
I trust and believe that you'll do a good job at that.
So when you're basically like starting a contracting business, how do you start out as a general contractor? Do you just call a bunch of people and hire them to do certain jobs? Like we can go into how I started, but like how do you explain that to somebody?
I mean, I think in general, what I like about general contracting and just contracting in general is you're real entrepreneurship. It encompasses entrepreneurship in its true essence. You have to negotiate. You have to be able to, be committed. You have to be responsible. You have to have integrity, honesty. So there's a lot of traits that an individual has to encompass within himself and see that within himself in order to be successful in this industry, and especially general contracting. But first off, having those traits, and then building the relationships. If you don't know how to do the work, at least have a good understanding of how to do the work, and then talk to the individuals that know how to do it. Have a good understanding of what they make, right, to do that and to execute that specific work, and then kind of put the two and two together to be able to create, final pricing, and then obviously work with, attorneys,
You're a broker of
of
sorts.
course, to
Yeah.
build the contracts and stuff like that. So yeah,
So Nick is a contractor of sorts, right? I mean, Nick's owns a landscaping company. That would be a contractor that
correct.
gets hired by people to do things. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to ask, And then it kind of answered my question when you said that, because when I first started out in the landscaping industry as a contractor, I was hands-on in the field.
Mhm.
Now, I guess, if you want to convert that to a landscaper as far as a GC, I would be like a GC in a sense where it's still my guys, but I'm not in the truck anymore doing the day-to-day activities. Would you say that most contractors start out as the hand-on contractors versus just starting out as like a GC, just trying to navigate hiring certain people for certain jobs?
I think before this real estate craze, right before it was really a thing and it was cool to get it to be a real estate investor and have that on your Instagram handle. Um, I think it was more of, all right, you had to be hands on, and then you slowly got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have also too in that mix, you have some people that are investors that try to be GCs, right, through nature of what the business that they're conducting. Um, so to answer your question, I think now it's more so, people turning on to GC, being able to be GC because it's relevant to what they're trying to achieve and
Mm-hmm.
overcome, from the original goal.
And I think there's a couple of different ways to kind of attack it if you're going to start out, because it looks a lot different to GC an investor flip for somebody that it does to go build a high-end kitchen in somebody's house or go do the addition that I'm doing upstairs for a homeowner. Those are two very different jobs, and like you can run two completely separate different companies basically from those two different perspectives. So I think that's the other thing. It's like you got GCs that are focusing on doing their own projects, renovating their own houses, doing whatever. And then you have people that are out there like us marketing that we're going to do kitchens, we're going to do bathrooms, we're going to do investor stuff, we're going to build new houses, whatever it is. So I feel like there's multiple ways that you can kind of attack that.
Yep.
But I think that, the investor stuff is kind of it's pretty turnkey. It's pretty easy
Yeah.
because you're not dealing with like a wife that's mad that there's dust in the house or whatever. Um, but I don't think it's like, it's definitely a hard thing to just like start up and put together unless you have projects of your own that you're
Right.
doing first. Because that's kind of like the house that I'm under contract at another house in Florida right now. We're buying that house to try out contractors down there on our own property
Yeah.
to hopefully be able to then have a solid crew to do a couple more houses down there.
Right.
But like that's in the beginning. We screwed up our own jobs pretty much before we sold them to other people.
Yeah, yeah, and there's clever ways. I mean, just just listening to you, what first pops into my head, and what I've seen some homeowners do on the retail side, is they'd call me for an estimate just to see what the numbers are, and then they get their three estimates just to see what everybody's numbers are, and then they can decipher. And then I've actually had clients turn into good friends through those means because eventually they told me that they were doing that, and then they also told me that they're real estate agents that are trying to get into investing, or there's just an IT professional that's looking to get into investing, and they've just been looking for somebody that seems or gives trustworthy vibes, and who is actually. So I think there's a lot of free information out there. There's a lot of bad information out there, more than the good, unfortunately. But I think in general, it's just building relationships with people and knowing the right people who are actually doing things. That's a good way to gauge somebody. What are they actually doing?
Yeah.
So, Julio, were you working with more investors or homeowners when you had your own business?
So I would actually do, it'd be balanced. It'd be pretty balanced. I would have real estate agents call me, specifically to get them out of pinches because there's an inspection report and there's termite damage on 4 joists, and you need to get this done before the weekend. I've had clients who I've helped out by power washing. Now I've painted their living room, and now they want me to redo their bathroom, and their retail clients. I've also again had investors who've reached out and who I've done, low margin work for, and I've done enough of it to the point that we trust each other, and they'll throw me, good bones here and there when they can. Again, relationships. So
I
yeah,
think
man.
one of the things you said there kind of struck with us, and I always have this conversation with other contractors. You're like, I did a power washing job, and then I painted their house or whatever. Like for us, I have conversations with other people, and they're like, why are you doing that job? Like, one of my project managers, Adam, was here, and I had these guys cleaning gutters in my neighborhood,
Yeah.
and he's like, why are you doing this? It's like $200 job. I'm like, because all of these jobs will lead to something else. And
Correct.
it's the no job too small that gets me in the door that I can then say, oh, we also do this, this, and this. We also do new construction. We also do additions. Like I'm doing an addition at my house. Like that gutter cleaning, yeah, maybe. And he didn't really understand the numbers, but like I had 2 guys here running around, did 4 gutters in a day. That's a profitable day. Like
Yeah.
you don't realize that's a profitable day. So and then those jobs led to the next job at their house. Like we've repaired my neighbor's gutters down here. They saw me do my siding. Now we're doing a $30,000 siding job for them. So, and it all started that we fixed their gutters and cleaned their gutters
Right.
just a couple months ago. So I feel like a lot of GCs are like, especially people that are starting out, like just do those shitty little jobs,
Right.
and get your foot in the door, get in front of those people. Even if you make $100, even if you lose $100,
Yeah.
but you got in front of that person and you know for a fact they need a roof, you have a roofer, you make a little margin. That's how it starts. Then you can snowball and kind of,
Yeah.
go from there. Like
Reputation is
if
key.
somebody asks me, hey, do you do landscaping? Oh yeah, of course we do landscaping. And then they send me a picture. What do you need? I send it to Nick. Hey, how much
Boom.
to do this? You know, and that's as easy as it is. I mean, it's literally like, oh, I know I'll get a wholesale price from Nick, and I could sell it to them at a fair retail price that they're not going to get anywhere else, and I can make something, and he'll make something. That's how the world goes around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, again, the beauty of general contracting and contracting in general is that, again, you're able to pick up opportunities left and right. And you can actually, again, people will respect you at the end of the day, and they can't take it away from you because, again, they recognize you as an individual who gets things done, and you do them the way that you said that you're going to do them and when you said that you were. And and when problems arise, you're still there to show face, because that's huge too.
Just show up, don't rob people, and answer your phone, and you're better than like most of the contractors.
Follow up.
Yeah, and follow up.
So Julio, what were your favorite types of jobs to get?
My favorite ones were always the quick and easy ones. I mean, by quick and easy, I mean
Quick, easy, and profitable.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, these are jobs that people need. And again, it's not that you're taking advantage of people, but again, you're able to deliver a product. You're able to do it in an efficient and effective manner, and you're able to deliver a service of quality. And I think people are really looking for that. And those little jobs, I'm really allowed to exemplify those traits in that service.
So like, what would it be a little job? Would that be like a bathroom remodel or something?
Yeah, bathroom remodel now. I mean, before it used to be, drywall repairs, door replacements, things like that. But yeah, now it's bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, basements. I really enjoy basements because basements, you can really take a space and take it from
Ugly to pretty.
right,
Really.
like
Yeah.
that, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's funny because like for us, like we are still doing little tiny jobs.
Yeah.
But we're doing millions of dollars in construction. I mean, him and Tyler are quoting like $600,000 new constructions,
Yeah.
$1.6 million commercial jobs, and like, big contracts. And then I'm selling gutter cleanings in the neighborhood. Like it's
And they all matter.
literally, and
Yeah.
and they all matter. Like from the gutter cleanings to the $1.6 million commercial remodel that we're trying to lock in right now. Like all of those jobs, like we take in on purposely so we can turn those gutters into bathrooms, into kitchens, and stuff like that.
And that's, it's definitely a good strategy. I know we talked about a little bit about, marketing and on our last episode with Brian. That's a marketing strategy. You know, you want to touch people every so often. That's like a touch, like, hey, clean your gutters for you, and that's just a reminder that you do construction.
Right. And now we got this van. We just bought a van and we got it wrapped in like the logos and stuff. So that'll be driving around. And that's just like, hey, if I can do any job in this neighborhood that I live in, there's 900 homes, all high end, high net worth people. If I can just have my van parked in this neighborhood every day doing a small job, guaranteed that pipeline just keeps coming. There's no doubt in my mind. So.
And I think that's the beauty of real estate, right? That's why why we're all here, is because everybody needs a home.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a roof over their head.
It's funny too, like the conversation when Julio and I started this merger. Basically, he was like, one of the big stipulations was like, the one reason I want to do this is because I want to invest in real estate. Like I want to do what you guys are doing with you guys. So the first thing we did was like, okay, during this merger, I'm going to make an LLC. And luckily we have Diana, DK Law. Shout out to Diana for setting it up within a couple days. Set up an LLC with the three of us, and that 3-unit building on Madison, we're taking down as a group.
It's a beautiful building, by the way.
Yeah, and it's a great building, and it was perfect for us because our contracting costs are like if I had to sell that building to somebody and then sell them the contracting, the deal probably didn't make that much sense. But for us, I got the deal at a good deal.
Are you guys keeping it or
Yeah.
renting? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it.
Or I'm not selling, keeping or selling.
Yeah. It's a cool old, just like really got a lot of character building. So it's in a good area where like Micah's right there is college rentals, and I think it's a good long-term hold. And we're actually doing on Madison Ave, we're doing a big basement remodel for a very, very high-end client. It's like a 5,000 square foot mansion on It's like the same style building. This is a 3-unit that we're buying. His is a single family. It's like 5,000 square feet.
Massive.
I mean, we're doing a multiple 6-figure basement remodel.
He's getting an elevator put in his house now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like yeah. So like that's on the same block as what we're buying. So we're like, yeah, we'll keep that long term.
Absolutely.
We'll make some cash flow along the way.
So did you do any flips in the past or?
I've done one. I have a rental and I've done one flip. And for me, they were both very bumpy, but very fun and experiencing. Like I learned a lot from them.
Yeah. That's how you got to learn too. Just by doing it, getting into it. And I think one of the good things too about, kind of what we're doing is like the JV partnership. You learn a lot through the process. Like I'm sure when we get into some of this restoration type stuff, bringing that old stuff back to life, like I'm excited to learn what you're going to bring to the table from that. And then from like an underwriting perspective and stuff like that,
right.
I'm sure that I can lean some of my perspective into that. So like when you JV with people, like you're kind of learning together and learning what each other has to offer. And I think that's like, kind of invaluable in a sense.
I mean, collaboration, right? It's I bring something to the table, you bring something to the table, and we eat.
And I think a lot of people shouldn't be, you should be into that as long as like the partners can bring equal value. I think like especially if you're starting out, you're listening and you're like trying to get your first deal, like Chase, little green gave away a little too much equity on his, but the only reason that he put this flip together was he found a partner that had money and he gave away equity in the deal. And it's the same thing that Diana and I did with the brokerage. Like the brokerage wasn't going to keep growing without somebody coming in and helping.
Right.
So like it made more sense for her to give up 50% equity and have me come in and grow the brokerage. So I think if you're listening, like first step, if you're like stuck and you have a deal, or you just like find somebody that's operating that you can partner with. And I think that's like a great way to break into the space.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I had a lunch today with one of the Kelties. Do you know the Kelty? They're big developers. Chris Kelty, he owns Lawyers Express Title, and most of like the Stevenson's big development on Stevenson's like 695 and some I don't know whatever they look up their stuff. They built most of Baltimore County stuff and like big families. And we had this lunch. It was set up by some mutual person, and he's like, how can I help you? Like, this whole thing. And I was like, well, one of the things that I'm like struggling with is some underwriting some of these bigger development deals where I'm looking at this piece of land and I'm saying like, okay, well, we can build 20, 30 townhomes here. Like, how do you underwrite that? What kind of money are you raising? And like, if I came across one of those deals, would you JV with me to like walk me through the process? Like, I'll find the deal, but you bring me in and I'll build some shit. I can build. Like, I was like, I know I could figure out how to build 20 houses in a row with all the same stuff. Like, that wouldn't be a problem. But like getting to that table, because like Tyler and I played with some bigger bids that we had out on bigger buildings and stuff. And you kind of get beat up and tossed around by these bigger institutional guys where they can bid $200,000 more without blinking an eye, and I'm like writing my numbers in like 6 different ways trying to figure it out. I'm like, I can't do that. It's not possible for us. So I just went to this guy and I was like, hey, like if you can help me get to that development place, I will help by hopefully bringing a deal. Like I was like, we're doing acquisition stuff, direct to seller stuff. We have a big plot of land. Let's talk about it. So that's kind of I think that the way that you can either get started or get to the next level
Yeah,
by bringing
absolutely.
in some value to somebody and, partnering up. So Nick, when you started your landscaping business, when did you immediately have employees? I know we talked about this before, or did you ever subcontract out any of the work?
No, I never subbed anything out. When I first started, I actually got a check in the mail from CCBC, a community college in Baltimore. And I got the check because I had paid for my tuition. I was in the community college. I paid for my tuition one semester, and I applied for financial aid or whatever. And I didn't know it went through until I got a check in the mail. And I opened up the check and I'm like, oh, this is like a fake check. I think my parents were with me. They were like driving me somewhere at the time. And it's like, no, that's a real check. I'm like, really? So like I cashed it. I went and bought like an old Dodge 1500 Dodge Ram, and I bought like a push mower from like Craigslist at the time. Facebook Marketplace wasn't really that hot back then. And then I didn't know like what blowers were meant to be used for, so I got like a push broom. So like all the clippings, I would just push broom off the sidewalk. And I actually got it from my parents' shop because they had a car lot and they worked on cars. And that's how I started. It was just me, and I would just go around like knocking on doors, cutting lawns, and then one day after I became a realtor, I had my buddy Matt. I had an open house that I was hosting for an agent in our office, and I had my buddy Matt take like 50 flyers and go that way, and I went the opposite way, and we had two flyers each of 50, and one was for landscaping, one was for the open house. We knock and say, hey, we're getting ready to have an open house this weekend. Stop on by. Also, if you need any landscaping work done. Well, one of the house that he went to, it was like a grandmother, and she's like, "Well, we don't need any landscape done, but I have a my grandson who's looking for work." I was like, "Sure." So like, I didn't even know like how to like interview or how to hire somebody. I was like, "Yeah." Got his contact information. Had him meet me at like Chick-fil-A. He like drove his bike like miles to get there, and like I just had some
And what
basic
year was that?
questions.
Just like so to put in perspective.
That was, man, maybe 2016, 2017,
So
maybe.
it's so crazy because if we, you just like the short amount of time, right? Like we were just talking about, like just 10 years ago, like we had no idea that we would cross paths in this business and talking about,
Yep.
you know, deals with multiple zeros. It's
Life
crazy.
changing stuff.
So Nick didn't know what a blower was in 2016. Now he owns 100 properties, has $1 million waterfront property, and is killing it. And that's just like, it should be motivation for anybody listening. It's like, fuck, I hate my job, or like I'm stuck in this spot. And I'm like, nobody is stuck. And if Nick can figure out what a blower is and buy that, and then start a $1 million landscape business and buy 100 properties and do this, like all from 2016 till now. And then we were DJing and getting drunk 10 years ago, and now we're buying $500,000 buildings together and running multi-million-dollar companies. Like that timeline is very short.
Mm-hmm.
If you just do the work and put in that time and like grind like every single day, you can cut your timeline down so significantly.
Correct.
Like even, shout out to Brian, we were just with. Unfortunately, we didn't freaking record any of it, but he started just like lending to one person, and now he's doing 90 loans a month, like $100 million months.
Yep.
Like whatever. Like it's like that's insane in such a short period of time, but it's so attainable. So like I think people have to like hear that stuff and be motivated. Like, okay, this guy can do it from 2016 till now. Like, there's no secret.
Yeah.
Like, you just did the work, right?
Yeah, hard work hard and smart. I mean, I had to really like work hard in the field starting out, and then start to like transition that to like working smarter.
Yeah, and it's still like hard work. It's like thinking and like managing people. Like, I mean,
It's definitely
honestly,
mentally
the
draining.
easy part is when you're driving around and you're like looking at stuff. Then you come back in the office and you got to like logistics and really planning and stuff like that. But like all that stuff is like the evolution of that is such a beautiful thing in business, because you really do like if I'm thinking now about how I was writing estimates, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it was like an idiotic process. But now it has been so like honed in where I'm like, okay, I can audio message to Carl and have an estimate out in 15-20 minutes, as long as I have the estimates or the prices in my head. Most of the time, I don't even need to measure most of the
Right.
stuff. If I just
Right.
need a general estimate, like I can walk through a house and pretty much eyeball everything at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and that's a level, like, I mean, that's where you want to get to, right? Because then you're a real pro.
Yeah.
right? You make it seem effortless.
But the problem with that too, we could get into estimating a little bit, because that's, I think, something that people use us a lot for, and they value what we do in the estimating space. As far as investors that are trying to buy a property, they don't know what the construction is going to be, so we charge a service. It's usually around $300. We go out, do a scope of work, that whole thing. But that skill is so hard to teach somebody else, because they haven't seen all the things that go wrong.
They haven't been through it.
So like once you see that floor collapse because that post wasn't set right, or there's no footer there.
Let me go back. It's not that they haven't been through it, because they could have been helping with executing the work. They haven't been responsible. They haven't been holding the bag to get it done.
Yeah,
that's the real difference there.
That's true. I think just like, this is a perfect example. In the beginning, when we flipped our first house, Tyler and I don't know how many hours, but we spent so many hours in Home Depot figuring out vanities because we didn't know that there's a difference when the pipes come through the wall or through the floor.
Yeah.
And the ones that have little feet, you can't put them if you have pipes coming through the floor. Like, we bought a vanity, carried it into the house. Like, oh shit, this isn't the right one. Carried it back out, put it at Home Depot, came back with a different vanity. Oh shit, this is a 30, not a 24. We only need a 24. Carry that one back. Like, seriously, that's like, maybe that's a little exaggeration, but we spent hours and hours and hours picking out one single stupid vanity. Now that's not even a thought in our minds. We're like, okay, vanity, Glacier Bay, $199. That's what it is. With
Right.
Right. In my head, I could just do that calculation and I know. But in the beginning, that process is learning how much everything costs and then what can go wrong and pull that string where now it's like, oh,
Correct.
I just had to do this joist replacement, but the ductwork goes through that joist, and the electric goes through that joist, and now the plumbing goes through. So now it's not just replacing this joist; it's I got to cut.
Right.
Oh, that's a radiator pipe.
Right.
So now I got to drain the radiator. Those are all things in my head that I'm like, but it's so hard to teach somebody that.
Correct.
Because they haven't gone through that full, like, okay, this is the process for this is the process for that. And I think estimating is one of the things that I value most about you coming on.
Thank you.
Is because I can like call it Julio and be like, hey, can you go run and do this estimate? Because I was the only one doing the estimates. And it's draining. You can only do a couple, and then all the stuff starts in your head, mixing up, and it's tough. So yeah, bringing somebody that can actually estimate properly is so crucial.
Yeah.
In the beginning, if you start a contractor business, you will estimate wrong.
Yes.
You will lose money a lot. And then you will figure out that, okay, this thing that really you think should cost $800, you need to charge $2,400 so you make a 20% margin.
Correct.
And it's so crazy, but that's really what you have to do.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you're like, oh, it cost me $8, I can sell it for $12, and I make... No, it's not how it works, because that warranty call comes in.
And then from there, the next growing pain is not only did you learn how to price things out, now you have to explain to your clients why they are priced out the way that they are. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother challenge there, because now you have to be a people person on top of being able to execute the So you see how you keep putting multiple hats, excuse me, on your head?
Yeah.
And you have to continue to keep putting multiple hats on your head and wearing them, and wear it good, because if not...
Yeah, and some people, like Tyler, for example, like he's, God bless him, like he works hard as shit, and he knows how much the stuff is going to cost in his head, but God, you cannot send him to an estimate because he'll just give it all away for free.
I love that guy. But he'll give you his shirt if he wants. Yeah. That's how nice he is.
Yeah, he's great at, if you're his friend and you want to get a job from us, go ask Tyler to estimate it for you. Because you will get a way better price.
You need to cut that out.
That's good to know.
So, but it's true, because like, how much in your head you think how much it costs, but you don't take into consideration the gas to get there, the trucks, the easy passes. I'm spending $500 a month in goddamn easy passes right now. Just like all that stuff, it does add up. And clients, you got to kind of
services, all that little stuff.
QuickBooks, Joist, all these different, softwares and all that stuff. It's like, you got trucks on the road and overhead.
Yeah, no, it certainly adds up, and that's a thing that like you said, a lot of the customers, they don't realize. Like, they think you're just coming here. You don't have to drive anywhere to get there. You don't have to have employees for them to be there on the clock and paying them insurances. It
Yeah,
all adds up.
insurance. That's another fun one.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah, I
old
mean,
scam.
just so people get an understanding, right now for a carpenter, right, for a let's say a $200 a day carpenter, the minimum workers comp that I've seen around is 6,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to take that into account into that estimating. You
Mm-hmm.
have to build that in, and again, not only that, you have to be able to communicate to the clients why that has to be there,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
it's an
God
important
forbid
part
you
of it.
have a guy that you want to put up on the roof.
Right.
It's $12,000 a year for one person. Just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah, roofing has some of the most expensive workers'
yeah,
comp insurance that I've seen.
it's
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. So
So, um, so we got our merger. So what exactly should people be contacting Julio for right now? Like if people are gonna hit you up because you're all over Facebook, you're in the groups, you're answering people, you're on the neighborhood groups. Like, what are people contacting you for now?
I think in general, just a basic understanding of construction, and then we can get up into higher levels of that. But as a construction consultant, I pride myself in having a good understanding and structures in this area, how they're done, and then not only that, how the municipalities are going to look at them when they walk in those buildings and give you a sticker to
Mm-hmm.
pass you
Mm-hmm.
to the next level,
Yeah,
right?
so like major structural stuff, like Baltimore is one of those cities, especially if you're listening from Baltimore, you're an investor, you're a
Correct.
homeowner here. It's one of those cities like we got 150-year-old houses.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into these houses and you look at some of them have a 6 inch, they're 14 foot wide and they got 6 inch difference from the left to right, something's going on.
Something's happening there.
And a lot of people will come in and say, "Oh, it's just settling. It's just this."
Right.
And you got to really hire somebody like Julio to come in and we'll bring in an engineer and
Correct.
we'll get that engineer's report and then we'll build the house the way that the engineer tells us to build the house. Like
Correct.
that is the process that you should take. So like any of those big structural projects, like Julio's the guy to talk to
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I really pride myself on those because again, they are complex. There is a way of doing them. It's not like just going in and just demoing and say, "Oh, let's go ahead and stick this up." No, you can't go in there and do that. Sometimes you even have to brace the side walls or all walls, just to make sure that it's safe for everybody working there. And then you can go ahead and secure the property.
Yeah.
Apart from pulling the proper permits, having the right things in place to kind of get you across the finish. And sometimes we work too fast that some of that stuff is inevitable. But
And sometimes we gotta bring in these metal beams and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
like knowing all that stuff is invaluable. So like if you're in the city looking for that kind of stuff, hit my man Julio up.
appreciate that.
And yeah, we'll get it done for you. So we got our businesses that we're the construction business that we're growing. We're gonna start doing this and invest in buy and hold, some flips, some stuff like that. Anything else that we got going on that's exciting stuff?
I mean, apart from what we just mentioned, I mean, dabbling more into the content creation. I think even
Yeah.
with Chase,
Mhm.
reaching out to him and using his good looks, his charisma, his ability to get in front of people and let them really know what's going on. That's something exciting that I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing how that flourishes.
The content stuff is going to be crucial for just all the businesses that we have. I feel like people want to see that like in real life,
Right.
like what you're doing on these job sites, why you are building this the way you're building it. Like I think that content people really like that. We were talking before about like the before and afters on the last podcast. Like that stuff, I feel like that's the kind of like YouTube content that people want to see. They're like
Yeah.
walkthroughs, like, oh, this, pointing out what's wrong, what's right, that kind of thing. I think that's crucial. So I'm glad that we have, that going on. Nick, you got to step up your content game with the landscaping, dude. I've never seen you post anything about the landscaping business.
That is true. So when I first started landscaping, I kind of just used it as a, just to have a little bit of side income because I was still going through college and that's what I did. Before that, I was working with I worked at a couple small restaurants as like, dishwasher and cooks. But before that, I was working with my parents at their car lot and working on cars. And I got to go do something else. So I started going to school and then started a landscaping business. I was like, I don't really want to work for anyone. So let me start this. So that was kind of just put me in a position to, generate enough income to buy my first rental back in 2018.
But like dude, I don't know if you know this guy. There's a guy on Instagram or TikTok or whatever that goes around and mows people's lawn for free. SB mowing.
I saw that. Yeah.
He literally goes around
Hmm.
and he just takes a video of him.
Free marketing,
Like overgrown
right?
And he's
lawns,
like, he
right?
knocks on their door and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna mow your lawn for free." And they're like, "No, you're not." And he's like, "Yeah, no, just gonna do this, take this video." And I literally watched this guy mow lawns, like I'll see him. I'm like, "Oh, that's a cool lawn." Like it's kind of just it's really nice to watch.
Like one of those satisfying.
So
videos.
yeah, it's
satisfying.
satisfying. Yeah,
Right.
it's a
It's
satisfying.
like
video.
watching
It's
somebody caulk the tile.
power washing. Yeah, but I'm like, Nick, you could easily be doing that. Just like walking around
Well,
with it.
a part of that exciting thing in the content creation is hopefully soon we'll be able to have an entity that's able to service that again, keeping everything under the umbrella. This is
Yeah.
a conglomerate. This is not
Yeah.
a beast that is to be reckoned with or to be played with.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we got to buy a bunch of camera equipment anyway, so
Yeah.
you might as well use it.
So
True.
we'll be happy to get you out there, man. You just need some lawns to mow for free. Are you cool with that?
I got
Yeah, you
one
guys should
here.
sponsor it.
I got one here.
We can start
He's
here,
got one in
right?
Essex.
I got a small one, bro. Seriously, it'll take you 10 minutes. I promise.
Yeah, no, I'll post about you in the Facebook group too. But no, I think that's crucial. The content creation, that's obviously the next step, like in growing and marketing and putting your
Correct.
name out there. Somebody just hit me up today and they were like, "Hey man, like we met like several years ago and like I've been following your content. Can we like have a lunch meeting? Like I have money I'm trying to invest." Like he just random person. And that's just because he referenced like times where we've talked on the podcast and like that people hear the story and like that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
People like get to know you before they even really know you.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what's really cool about the era that we're in and the ability to be able to share this stuff. I mean, even from an educational standpoint to a motivational standpoint, there's a lot of, again, positive that we're looking to put out, but then also that's out there already that people can build on and grasp.
Yeah, and just opportunities. People hear us talking about like,
Right.
"Oh, we bought this building. Like maybe they have another 3-unit building that could potentially work." So, Nick, you good, man?
Yeah. Good.
Julio, we appreciate you coming out, and hopefully we can
Appreciate you guys.
yeah, keep this train a moving.
Yeah, we'll keep it
Thanks for
moving.
coming.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to CVP's April 11th, 6 to 9. Hopefully this comes out before then. We're going to hit that event hard and start planning the next one. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Woo woo.
Till the next time.